a wide angle on Turkey. We were talking. Yes, sorry, you were saying something on symbols of Islamization and the substance of it.
You know,
I thought he came out in colors as a closet member, not so closet either, of the Akhwanul Muslimin.
Two things in this. One, when in the last elections, I don't know exactly what year, when the first woman member of parliament entered the house with a headscarf.
Yes.
She was booed out, and she had to leave the premises of the parliament. This time, several women became members of parliament, and all are wearing headscarves, not a sound from anybody. So it's become accepted now. People are not protesting. Number two, in my view, looking at Erdogan's and his foreign minister's regional thinking, after the problems in Egypt and the blow to Egyptian leadership of this part of the world, and generally speaking, no Arab leader left who could claim the leadership of the Arab world. I think Erdogan or some people around him felt that with the European Union entry blocked, Turkey could now aspire to some kind of a leadership of the Arab world or this part of the world. And the first thing he did was to deliberately create a crisis with Israel, because you couldn't be a leader of the Arab world if you had the strongest relationship that any Muslim country has in the Middle East with Israel. So he did that. And then you find his intervention in Syria, openly supporting the what you might even call the extremists and this and that. So there has been some kind of a strategy in Erdogan's mind which has not played out well.
I find it very confusing, if you ask, quite to tell you, and that is why I'm surprised that he has emerged from so much, this heap, the piles of confusion, with smelling not exactly of roses, but smelling quite good, quite well.
No, one should not forget that he was the first Turkish Prime Minister, Turkish leader, to give Kurds their rights. You know, they could, have their own television program.
So he has not done badly in the Kurdish areas.
Exactly. And he also the first Prime Minister to acknowledge a Turkish role in the genocide. I mean, he didn't use the word genocide, the massacre of Armenians. So he has made certain progressive steps, and
Abdullah Gül actually went to Armenia and apologized. And now he has
in his first 6-7 years in government, Turkey really had zero problems with its neighbors. But after his disastrous intervention in Syria, the tide has turned for him. You remember 3 years ago when he went to Cairo, he was greeted like the huge crowds waiting for him, receiving him, rapturous crowds. And before the military stepped into government in Egypt, Turkey was the biggest financial backer of the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, they gave the government about $8 billion, along with Qatar. And the first thing the Egyptian military-led government did after taking over was to return the money and break off relations with Turkey. So Turkey now is left with zero friends.
Sisi's. The military rulers in Egypt have broken relations with Turkey because Turkey and Egypt under Morsi, there were too much bhai.
And even Saudi Arabia is having very bad relations with Turkey because Turkey still is supportive of Morsi and the Muslim Brothers, which now the Saudis have termed as terrorists, quote unquote.
But I have a slightly different view about his opening to the Kurdish. At one level, yes, this was long due, and but it was also dictated by the regional circumstances, with the effective breakup of Iraq into a couple of entities, with the Kurdish part of Iraq functioning almost independently. The Turkish foreign minister went to northern Iraq without permission from the central government of Baghdad, and there was a bit of a problem. Now, they have a lot of oil, as we know, and Turkey wants access to that oil. Now, Kirkuk. Now, if you want to have that strategy, where you want to become some kind of a regional player in terms of energy, then you have to try and make peace as much as possible in your own Kurdish areas. Number one. Number two, more importantly, the fact that northern Iraq has become quasi-independent could be a trigger for a revival of Kurdish separatism.
Kurdish problem inside,
and
well,
therefore,
in 3-4 countries actually.
so therefore, I think he's played an astute game in terms of reaching out to them so as to prevent a bigger problem from occurring in the future, quite apart from the fact that Turkey's democratic credentials could never be fully accepted if it treated this Kurdish minority shabbily the way
that is
they
true,
were
although
doing.
that too, he was all in preparation for the grand entry into the European Union, but none of that actually happened. They actually have been let down, not only on European Union, on Cyprus. I mean, Kofi Annan came so far with some kind of a solution, and there is no solution at this point in time. And you have Cyprus, which is the southern Cyprus actually, is member of the Union, but not the north, nowhere near it. Actually, it has been changing, John, from the day. You see, Turkey was a obedient member of NATO and following the American line by and large, and therefore friendly with Israel, etc. Something happened after Erdogan came to power. After very first election. Remember, Rumsfeld wanted to get his troops through Turkey into. They said no. So that is the day where Turkey becomes a slightly more independent, a very independent nation. That goes down exceedingly well with the populists, which is somewhere down the line also Islamist to some extent. True, the sociology.
Like I was saying, in the first 5-6 years of his when he was Prime Minister, his foreign policy really paid dividends for Turkey, especially his opening up with Syria. So Syria provided the route for Turkish exports to the West Asian market. And remember, 3 years ago, Erdogan visited Bashar al-Assad on a vacation and called him. They spent the vacation together and called each other brothers. But then, what happened in Libya was, I think, was a turning point.
We were discussing how it disengaged, how it became a little more independent of the American.
In Libya, when Erdogan saw the French and the Americans taking the lead in regime change and walking away with all the oil contracts, he thought that in Syria, Turkey should take the lead and reap the harvest. But unfortunately, it has become a bitter harvest for the Syrians.
Yes.
And one point we should not forget: today, the major enemy of Erdogan are no longer the so-called secular fundamentalists. Represented by the army. It is the Gulenists, Fethullah Gulen.
Yes.
Who had helped him, set up a base among the faithful in Turkey, and B, also to infiltrate the higher echelons of the judiciary and the security services. And today you find that most of the secrets, the corruption videos, the tapes are being leaked out by the Gulenists. And the break with Gulen started when Erdogan broke relations with Israel over the attack of the Marmara. Remember that ship which was taking food for the people in Gaza?
Yes.
That ship was attacked by the Israelis, Erdogan took a very strong, and this. According to Gulen,
he used that as a turning point to find favor with the Arab street.
That's when the Gulenists split with Erdogan, the Gulenists are supposed to be more pro-Washington than Erdogan. They want Turkey to go back to.
Well, you can't play both sides of the street, because on the one hand you want to be secular, then you are hands and club with Gulenists who are actually fundamentalists. Then they enable you to get rid of all your civil service and people in the army and intelligence agencies who were actually the old professional lot, and now you find that you are saddled with these fundamentalists. How do you? This is his existential dilemma at the moment, because he is now surrounded. He doesn't know how many people he has in his service who are actually from the Gulenist party. Fethullah, Gulen Fethullah. That is it. Anyway, let us not forget that there are other battles to be fought yet. This is only a local bodies election. Now this is the last term. Soon he will have to make way. Who does he make way for? Will it be Abdullah Gul, the president, who will come in his place? Ahmad Davutoglu, how I forget.
Davutoglu.
I get a little tongue twister there. He is very ambitious, and but there are people who say that he badly advised him on all his regional policies,
foreign policy,
his foreign policy regionally. So we don't know what.
Well, any case, the world will deal with whosoever Turkey throws up as a leader, so that is not that important. I think the larger question is Turkey's regional role, how they'll play it out, because Turkey is located geostrategically in a very vital space. It has a lot of, which people don't focus too much on, it has a lot of cultural influence all around in Central Asia, even in Tatarstan.
Yes,
I went to Tatarstan and
Central Asia.
No, but in Russia itself, and I found that the advisors to the president were speaking to each other in Turkish, since I understand a little Turkish, so I was a bit surprised that this was the case. And they in fact told me there were a lot of schools now with Turkish syllabus, not syllabus, but Turkish language. And Turkey at that time, a few years ago, was trying to persuade the Tatarstan people to change from Cyrillic alphabet to Roman alphabet, so that cultural and educational contacts could be strengthened. But the Russian parliament, in fact, passed a resolution that this will never be allowed.
Yes.
So Turkey, relationship with Russia, its Black Sea policy, its relationship with the Arab world, its relationship with the European Union, relationship with Iran.
Yes.
So it's very interesting to watch how Turkey conducts its foreign policy.
Well,
but for the time being, I would say that they have entered a phase where the initial feeling that Turkey was being successful has got eroded, and Turkey has landed itself into a bit of a problem.
Thank you very much. Well, Turkey was, as Ambassador Kanwal Sibal just said, Turkey was cruising along well 3 or 4 years ago. Then came the misadventure in Syria. And I think after that they have not recovered. Somewhere down the line, someone sold them the lemon, that somehow they can become an influential player in the region. People at home began to dream of the Ottomans coming back. And there is one thing that the Arabs do not like. It is the memory of the Ottoman Empire. In fact, that whole dream, people have tried. There are people who talked of the Francophone. Boutros Ghali became some kind of a secretary general for that. That was a non-starter. The Turks thought of it, and that, of course, boomeranged on them. Somehow, we will discuss someday why does the British Commonwealth survive, and any other effort at that nostalgia for empire is generally not liked and is not popular. That for another occasion. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sibal. Thank you, John Cherian. Thank you very much. Good night and goodbye.